I've always felt like climate change is the defining issue of this generation. My passion for the environment and conservation more broadly definitely stem from my love of climbing. I think as a climber, you wind up with a unique perspective on climate because you spend so much time outside, up high on the sides of cliffs, looking down on things. It gives you a vantage point that the average tourist driving through the park doesn't necessarily see. My name is Honnold. I'm a professional rock climber. I've basically spent the last 20 plus years climbing outside all the time, and you just can't spend that much time outdoors without starting to care about the environment and trying to protect the wild places that you climb in. They're the basic things as a climber, like leaving no trace, making sure that you don't make a mess of the crag, trying not to degrade the environment more than you have to. Really, I think the climbing lifestyle is relatively low impact, except that you're constantly traveling between different climbing areas. If you go to an area, stay there for at least a month. I don't think there was one specific moment as a climber that made me realize that the climate was changing. I've traveled fairly widely, I've seen quite a bit, and so I have a lot of different examples from different parts of the world. The polar regions in particular, but also just the high mountains with glaciated peaks are really where the world is changing the fastest. When you look at these peaks that seem permanent, and then you see that the glaciers are just retreating so quickly that it changes the way you interact with the mountains, and that just strikes you as wrong. You normally think of those types of landscapes as sort of transcending human timeframes, and yet, just in the time that I've been a climber, I've seen them change drastically. So I went to Yosemite a bunch as a kid, but then my first time climbing there, I was 18 or 19. You know, I've been climbing Yosemite for 15 years, and now it's unimaginably hot to climb there in June or September. The comfortable climbing season has shifted months on either side. It is slightly hard to plan for as a climber. Now you should just anticipate that any kind of ice route may or may not be in, and you should know that when you hike into the mountains like that, there's a good chance that it's just not going to be in condition. Things are changing pretty quickly and you just don't totally know. As a result of my travel experiences as a climber and seeing how quickly the world is changing, I started the Honnold Foundation, which supports solar projects around the world. So sometimes that means solar panels on a school for indigenous girls in Guatemala, with solar-powered boats in the Amazon, grid-tied solar systems in the US in low-income communities, and basically all kinds of different systems. I think that it's hard for people that live in cities to appreciate how quickly things are changing in the more remote and rugged places on Earth. For me personally, as a climber and as an athlete, I like to show the natural surroundings that I'm climbing in. And so Edge of the Unknown is a new National Geographic series of showing how top athletes do what they do. And it allows folks at home an opportunity to see some of the edges of Earth that you're just not seeing normally. In my case, my episode is sort of a deeper dive into this experience we had climbing walls in Morocco, and it's exactly the kind of place that is most affected by climate, particularly because it's North Africa, and so it's already climatically extreme, cold in the winter, hot in the summer, it's up high. These are the types of communities that are most affected by climate change, and the people who are least able to adapt. When you read statistics about climate refugees, these are the communities that you're reading about. I hope that anyone watching Edge of the Unknown comes away a little bit inspired about how we do the sports that we do and the hard work that goes into performing at this level. But I hope that they're also inspired by the natural beauty of the world and the locations in which we're doing these sports. When I think about the world that my child will eventually inhabit, I prefer to think that it could actually be great if humanity chooses to rise to the occasion and meet some of these challenges. We just haven't quite chosen to take that path yet. But the optimist in me just feels like you may as well at least think about the ways in which you can improve the world by acting on climate. And I think that's the more tenable path forward.